Well, I came across a chap called Marshall Rosenberg, and his thesis of non-violent communication, NVC. And the basic drift is, well, we're all alive, we're all human. We do have certain common needs, and if we emphasize those needs, we find they're not just common, but they're pretty fundamental, and we can move towards a harmony of agreement and care of each other by attending to such. And there are ways of communicating that are cooperative towards such a goal, and there's ways of talking and acting that's contrary to such achievement. So, one of those rules is we don't criticize the other. We're not there to tear down. We're trying to build up. We have basic common needs. They are basic to humanity. We want life, both sides. We need food, clothing, there are necessities of life, shelter, protection, safety. We want hope, don't we? We need a reason for living, meaning to life, love and kindness, care, help, cooperation. Both sides value this, and both sides can understand the other in this regard. I don't easily understand your religion or lack of it, but I certainly understand the fact that you need to breathe, you need health, you desire to have children, posterity if you like. You probably fear death. And although perhaps I don't now fear death, or rather being dead, because I don't think that's the possibility, I do know what that sort of fear is about. Got some idea what it must be like not to think it's going to be all right. You're going to have ongoing life, spiritual life in heaven. And I can imagine, if you like, the concern of not having such a hope. So I can even empathize with your hope or lack of hopes, even though they're different to mine. I can appreciate, in a sense, the importance of God to you, even though I'm secular, if I understand that God to you means a safety from, for instance, the fear of death, the uncertainties of life, the assurance that it gives you. I see this is why you value it. In other words, if I come to understand the other person in terms of the same needs that they have, that I have, we start to have a sympathy, an empathy, an understanding of the other person, and a value of them, a valuation of them that's very positive. We appreciate that they're not so different to us, they're not alien to us. Because they have very common needs. They want to have a nice day. They want to enjoy social company. They like nice clothing, they want warmth, they want shelter. They have a view of a nice way of living because that's their history. It reminds them of mum and dad and so on and so forth, their childhood. And, they always wanted a dog, so now they've got one. I can understand that. Even though perhaps, I don't want a dog, I prefer cats, say, or not pets. They're a bit of a tie, and I, love going away, travel, and I don't want to be torn two ways. I can understand the other person, even though I'm not similar to them in certain areas. Overall, I'm very aware that I'm very similar to them in having the same basic needs. And that those basic needs are fundamental and most important. And we can work towards a society, and both personal, individual, and culturally, we can move towards society in which we emphasize the concern for such things as are common to both. So we might be religious, of different varieties, or secular, but we don't want war. And we therefore keep this firmly in mind when we're relating to each other. We're both trying to find ways of not having war, because war seems to be really troublesome when it happens, potentially to both sides, and so forth. Of course, there may be major imbalances between the two of us. You're a superpower and I'm a minor state. I'm no real risk to you, even in war. But you're a major risk to me in that you're going to conceivably swamp my society. Even so, if we emphasize the humanity of both of us in our converse and in our relating to each other, then we're less likely to suffer from this difference of religion or whatever it is that's dividing us. Since neither of us want to be threatened, we earnestly might want to make sure that we are not a threat to the other side. So if my ways impinge on your ways, I try to find out what I can do to minimize this discord. I sort of think of a situation where we're having a social occasion and we're going to eat. Well, if some of us are vegetarian, are they upset if we're eating meat? Does the mere presence and others eating meat upset them? A little, yes. Even though they're not being forced to do it themselves. And of course, if half the table can't be eaten because it's meat, that's hard on them. Is it hard on us if this meal is just all vegetarian when we meet on this particular day of the week, say, and have lunch together? No, we can adjust to that. We can accommodate them on that day. We'll just say don't bring meat, it upsets some of the members who are vegetarian. Oh, okay. It's not a cost, you see. If, on the other hand, this person only eats meat, can't eat anything else. Oh, you mean he can't accommodate us? That's right. Well, is it best not to have a meal together? Or do we make exception for him because we don't want to exclude him, but we appreciate it's terribly important to him that he has to eat meat, he can't eat anything else. He's got, is it Jordan Peterson who suffers from, and one of his family, I think it's a hereditary condition, really have great trouble if they eat anything other than meat. Sort of vegetarian's nightmare, really. But, could you accommodate him at the meeting? Oh, of course. Yes, we understand. And perhaps this is because we so greatly value him in other ways, perhaps simply in being a person. We don't want him to be ostracized and unhappy. In other words, we're in a relationship of loving kindness, and it reaches out to. Well, that says it all, really. Get hold of the book, Marshall Rosenberg, NVC, Nonviolent Communication. And it's a training course on how to solve discord. And it's pretty good. It's not in a sense, it's not dealing or not overcome by the issue of whether some believe in God and some don't. It says that even then, there are basic fundamentals that are so important that we can have an empathy and an understanding and a love and kindness that seeks out harmony despite the differences, and starts to seek earnestly ways of accommodating the differences rather than clashing over them. And, my experience and opinion is now that this is a major step forward, and I haven't mastered it as well as Marshall Rosenberg has, but check it out. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.